Johnson, CEO and founder of the National Association of Urban Etiquette Professionals, the largest association serving urban youth. Also the founder of www.urbangirls.org, when we talk about real girls and real issues. And I cannot tell you how delighted and excited I am to welcome Cory L. Hughes today for our podcast on the state of urban youth. I grew interested in Cory and his work around the community as I saw him giving voice in some issues that were happening in Baltimore and in the Dallas area. And that prompted me to want to speak to him and share him with you, our audience across the world, on this issue. Cory, welcome, and thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Trenette, for having me on. I'm excited just to be able to share my heart and, my vision with the people with your network. I born and raised in, Chicago, actually born in Chicago, raised here in Texas. Entrepreneur, father, community activist, minister of the gospel. I'm just a person that really just has a heart for people. And so I'm just excited to be able to use some of the gifts that God has given me, to be an impact in our communities, especially in our urban communities.
That is so exciting. I think I'm just overwhelmed with happiness because you're a man. And that is one of the voices that's truly been missing in the urban community around some of the day-to-day activities and mentoring that young men experience. Give us a little bit about how you avoided, as a young man from Chicago being raised in Texas, how did you avoid going down the wrong road?
Well, just to be quite frank, I can't say that I did completely avoid it. I just had opportunities that when I went down the wrong road that afforded me opportunities to make a detour and turn from some of the things that I was experiencing. It's challenging being a young black man living in America in our urban neighborhoods. It's so much opportunity for you to go down the wrong path. One of the things that really afforded me an opportunity was I was a gifted athlete, so I was able to play sports, get a college scholarship, and then go to college. And once I went to college and I began to see things that were, different from my neighborhood, it kind of opened up my eyes and opened up my mind, and it opened up opportunities. And so that was one of the saving graces for me. But I must admit, had I been, had I not got a scholarship and stayed in town, I think it would have, multiplied the opportunities for me to go down the wrong path. And so I was just graced to be able to go to college and get out of the community. And I think that, when people have a way out, that's truly a blessing. But again, like I said, I didn't make all the right decisions. But when I made the wrong decisions, my coaches and my family didn't give up on me. They kept believing in me. They kept speaking positive things and speaking life into me. And those words they spoke began to bring birth and come forth in my life. And, here I am today.
Now that's a powerful testimony. One thing that I heard you say is exposure. Being exposed to other experiences, other environments allowed you to begin to formulate decisions that made a positive impact on your life.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is wonderful.
If I didn't have exposure, and I think, and maybe this is not the path you want to go down, but I want to suggest that one of the things that our youth need is we need people that have had the exposure to go back and create that same exposure that they were privileged to for other youth. When we get our college degrees, when we become successful entrepreneurs, when we become successful CEOs and business people, oftentimes I think one of the travesties in our communities is that we get the education, we get the money, we get the prestige, and we leave the community. And, that's fine if you want to buy a house in suburban America, but don't forget about where you came from. There's a young boy and a young girl that's living in that neighborhood that looks just like you, that thinks just like you, that all he or she needs is an opportunity just like you and something to look forward to. And I think that's why I always subscribe to the fact that as we become successful, we have to go back and be a blessing. And, it doesn't have to always be finances. Sometimes it could be just going in the neighborhood and speaking life and giving them something to look up to other than just being a rapper or a professional athlete.
Well said. I could not agree more. I do believe that part of rebuilding, really rebranding urban youth, that's what I like to call it, the brand that urban youth have today is very negative. And a lot of times people say, I'm not going to fool with them. They're silly. They're this, they're that, as if they're removed from them. You are them.
Absolutely.
And so, to then ascribe yourself as being something different from them and not giving back and pouring into our next generation will have absolutely detrimental effects on us, as we see now. And so that's my second question to you is what you saw on the landscape and made you want to be a part of your community and an activist in the community, or was that something from day one, like, no matter if you went to college, you were still going to give back?
I think it was what I began to see on the landscape of America in our urban youth, where they were lacking mentorship, they were lacking leadership, and too often it chaps my heart to hear people say and talk negative about the youth as if you forgot at one point, at one dispensation, you were youth yourself. Yeah. And so for me, I've always had a heart for that generation. And so what I begin to see is I begin to travel to Ferguson, Missouri, and Baltimore, and New York, McKinney. I seen that there was a consistency, and the consistency is this: they're missing mentorship. They're missing someone to come back and pour into them, and it's not a conditional pouring. Oftentimes what I've discovered is that people will pour into people, but it's conditional. I'll pour into you as long as you're doing this and as long as you're doing that. But there's a book that I read periodically, and there's a quote in this book, and it says that love covers a multitude. And so what I go with is the love to cover you, to encourage you, to pour into you, sometimes in spite of you, because I know that's exactly what they need.
Oh, that is just so, I wish everybody had that mindset, because that's a beautiful way to think. Like you, I always had a call to work with young people, but I see a very negative view of adults toward youth. And so one question I want to ask is, how then do we galvanize and move forward with the Black Lives Matter message, and it not just become, a hashtag or T-shirt? How do we get boots on the ground in order to make those, have those mentors, feel that need in those children's lives?
Well, I think one of the things is I share with a couple of guys. I have a network that I'm getting ready to start called I Will Lead. You may see some of the hashtags on some of my stuff on social media, but it is a challenge to men, especially men, to lead their families. And if they lead their families, then they can begin to lead their communities, and we can lead our cities. But it starts with us. It's us taking a responsibility to say that I'm going to lead my family, and then also my extended family, my nieces and my nephews. I think the way you galvanize it is what. Here's one thing I tell people all the time: you cannot lead and affect or change what you're afraid of or what you don't understand. And oftentimes, instead of people trying to understand the youth, instead of people trying to have compassion, they pigeonhole them and say, this youth is just disrespectful, they're this and they're that. And we don't, as an older generation, we don't take responsibility for the fact that we were the ones that created the attitude of the youth. There's some things, because it gets worse every generation, and so we have to take responsibility. And so you can't lead and affect what you're afraid of, what you don't understand. And so what I challenge people to do is take some time, and those same youth that you point at, those same youth that you say that they have no future, or you say that they're just disrespectful, spend some time in those hoods. They're not going to rob you or kill you. They need to know you care. They need to know that you're there for them, that you want to see them be successful. You want to see them come out. And if you go in with that type of attitude, that compassion, that heart, then they'll listen, and then you can affect and you can bring about change. Trenette, I've been to Baltimore. I'm not from Baltimore, but I've been in the hoods of Baltimore, in the hoods of New York, in the hoods of Ferguson. I've never had one confrontation, any issue.
That's right.
Nobody tried to fight me, because they could sense that I was coming in with a compassion to understand what you're going through. Listen, if people know that you care about them, then they'll buy into you. But you can't sell me nothing until I know you got my best interest in mind. And so I challenge people to have a heart for the people, and then you can change and move a generation to be better and to be greater. Does that make sense?
Well, that makes total sense. It's actually difficult. You need to feed the man the bread that he needs to eat for his stomach before you feed him the word. And so oftentimes we miss the thing staring us right in the face, thinking we need to do a deeper, bigger thing, when if you would just say, hey, good job, I'm counting on you. You're going to be somebody in the future. That will take a child from 0 to 100, as Drake would say, real quick.
That concludes the first part of our interview with community activist Cory L. Hughes. Click on to number 2 to listen to the rest. And remember, we have a lot of resources available for you and your youth as you begin to grow and develop them in social skills and etiquette training. Log on to www.urbangirls.org and pick up your newest copy of Code, Life Etiquette Hacks for Teens. Take your children